Trevoh Chalobah, N'Golo Kante, Reece James. Chelsea injury news ahead of West Ham clash. Chelsea could be without another key player for their trip across London to face West Ham at the weekend, with Trevoh Chalobah forced off during the win against Watford. Takes a look at who could be in and who could be out for the big clash against the Hammers. Trevoh Chalobah. It's been a real breakout season in a blue shirt for Chalobah, but he may have been given his first setback since earning a first-team spot. He came off with a hamstring issue in Chelsea's 2-1 win over Watford, which was labelled as a worry for Tuchel. There is little indication this early on as to how severe the injury is. What Tuchel said, "The next game on Saturday, the most worried I am is about the injury for Trevoh Chalobah," the manager told Amazon Prime after the game. "The doctor was on the pitch 20 times today it felt like. It's a big loss from Trev. I'm a bit worried." N'Golo Kante, Mateo Kovacic and Ben Chilwell update. The Chelsea trio were all definitely ruled out for the match against Watford on Wednesday, and Saturday looks as though it could be too soon for a couple of them. Chilwell is a long-term injury, suffering an issue with his anterior cruciate ligament and is expected to be out for at least 6 weeks. Kovacic has been out with a hamstring issue picked up in training back in October and is yet to make a squad since. Kante was not involved midweek after picking up a knee injury against Juventus in the Champions League, which sidelined him for Manchester United and Watford. Timo Werner, Jorginho and Reece James update. All three players were subject to late assessments before the trip to Watford, with Jorginho and Werner making the bench but James missing out. The German international had just been out with a month-long injury, and though he has appeared since, the slight knock he picked up may see some hesitancy to drop him back into action so quickly. Jorginho did not make an appearance from the bench, but he was deemed fit enough to make the squad, whilst James didn't and will still be a doubt for the All-London affair. Saul Niguez is growing fed up with Chelsea lack of playing time after being hauled off at half-time in Watford win. Saul Niguez fears he is caught in a trap at Chelsea as his dream loan move turns into a nightmare. The midfielder's latest blow came at half-time of Wednesday's 2-1 win at Watford when he was substituted for what Thomas Tuchel claims were tactical reasons. The Chelsea boss later admitted, "I don't know where he goes from this performance." The one-time Spain international is struggling to adapt to the Premier League but believes he can't do that without more game time and that his career is stalling at Stamford Bridge. Saul, 27, is happy with life in London but is growing increasingly fed up with lack of action. But he looks doomed to remain at Chelsea for the entire season regardless of his growing frustrations. There is no way back to Atletico Madrid because of Spanish football's salary cap system. Saul was moved on in August so that his parent club could pay the wages of incoming star Antoine Griezmann. He has already played for 2 teams this season, and the only way to play for a third is if he moved out of the UEFA area completely to play in the Middle East, USA or China, which might be on the table in January if things do not improve. Saul has played a total of just 297 minutes since his arrival at Chelsea on transfer deadline day, and he has completed only one full match, the Carabao Cup penalty shootout win over Southampton in October. Atletico Madrid are allowed to spend a maximum £146.6 million this year on player wages under Spanish rules, and they reached that when bringing back Griezmann on loan from rivals Barcelona. Saul's family is also settled in London, which makes it even more difficult for him to consider a move out of Europe to get his career back on track. Christian Pulisic has spoken on his injury struggles at Chelsea so far this season. The Blues attacker has only made 8 appearances in the current campaign, with a positive COVID-19 test and an ankle problem keeping him sidelined for the majority of the club's games. He returned to action for the first time since August in the 1-0 win away at Malmö last month, coming off the bench for the latter stages of the game. Speaking to the official Chelsea website, Pulisic commented on his struggles with injury and therefore lack of game time this season. "This injury was a tough one for me to get over. I missed a lot of the first part of the season and I'm not a naturally patient person, so I just wanted to get back as soon as possible. There weren't any real setbacks, but there were times where I tried to come back and push it, but it just wasn't quite ready. It was just trying to manage how much I could do based off the pain. It was important to have good communication with the medical and training staff. I needed a certain amount of time for the injury to heal, and then once you start to play again, you want to take it a bit slower." The American international joined Chelsea from Borussia Dortmund in the summer of 2019, scoring 19 and assisting 14 in 85 appearances since then. He scored the Blues' second goal in their 3-0 win on the opening day of the season against Crystal Palace. Pulisic's second of the campaign came against Leicester City a couple of weeks ago to score his side's third of the game. Frank Lampard says Timo Werner and Kai Havertz were «shocked» by Premier League intensity after joining Chelsea. Ex-Chelsea manager Frank Lampard says his former signings Timo Werner and Kai Havertz were «shocked» by the intensity of the Premier League following their moves to Stamford Bridge. The German duo both secured moves to England in the summer of 2020, with Werner joining in a £47.5 million move from RB Leipzig and Havertz completing a £71 million switch from Bayer Leverkusen. Both Werner and Havertz have endured mixed spells in West London to date, with Werner often criticised for his wayward finishing and Havertz somewhat flattering to deceive, despite scoring the winner in last season's Champions League final. Lampard believes early struggles for foreign players is almost to be expected. However, he admits the intensity of the Premier League and Chelsea's training sessions surprised Werner and Havertz. Timo was a big signing because Liverpool wanted him. Man United were in for him. Lampard, who was sacked by Chelsea at the start of the year, said on The Overlap. "We knew there were 3 or 4 big clubs trying to sign him, so when I spoke to Timo I knew I had to be on my game to try and get him to come. With Timo and Kai, there was clearly going to be adaptation issues. I know that from being in it because they were shocked at the speed of training. They were shocked by the physical demands of the game. I remember Eden Hazard's first year at Chelsea. He went on to be one of Chelsea's best ever players, but you looked at him in pre-season strolling around. Pretty much any player goes through those periods. Timo and Kai had that in the early days. Kai had terrible COVID as well, which set him back quite a lot." Chelsea star Edouard Mendy reveals N'Golo Kante's Champions League prediction before they had even played a match against Manchester City. N'Golo Kante told some of his Chelsea teammates that they would win last year's Champions League before they had even played a minute in the competition, according to Edouard Mendy. The Blues went unbeaten throughout the group stages of the tournament, after gaining 14 points from home and away matches against Sevilla, Krasnodar and Rennes. Thomas Tuchel's side then triumphed in 2-legged knockout games against Atletico Madrid, Porto and Real Madrid to reach the final, where they played Manchester City. A first-half goal from Germany international Kai Havertz sealed a 1-0 win against their Premier League rivals and in turn gave the Blues their first Champions League title since 2012. And Mendy has now revealed that Kante, who was named the man of the match in both legs of the semi-final against Real Madrid and again the final against City, had predicted the Blues to win the tournament before their opening group stage clash with Sevilla. "I have the best anecdote of the season. We were travelling with N'Golo, Kurt Zouma and Olivier Giroud," Mendy told beIN Sports France as quoted by The Sun. N'Golo confidently said, "Guys, I think this year we will win the Champions League. Yes, I don't know, I have a feeling. The first day. I told him to wait and see how the game versus Sevilla went tonight. That night we played Sevilla and honestly, it was the most difficult game we had in the group stage. They came to our pitch and they pushed us like crazy, they had the ball 70% of the time. N'Golo, I think he ran 13 kilometers. At the end of the game, I asked him again and he said, I think we'll wait a little bit before we say that." John Barnes believes that Chelsea defender Antonio Rudiger has already improved in one key area of his game this season. Rudiger has been a mainstay in the Chelsea defence so far this term, starting 13 of the Blues' opening 14 Premier League matches. Thomas Tuchel's side currently find themselves at the top of the league table on 33 points, while only conceding a league low of 6 goals during that period. And former Liverpool winger Barnes has singled out Rudiger as Chelsea's standout performer, while also explaining how his ability to step out of defence has improved this season. "He has been sensational, he has also improved in coming forward," Barnes told Amazon Prime ahead of Chelsea's Premier League clash with Watford on Wednesday. Because the way he wants to play, as much as he is a good defender, he wasn't doing this as much for Chelsea. But now, he is coming forward, because of everyone is working hard behind him if he loses the ball. For me, he has been their best player, their most consistent player." Meanwhile, Chelsea legend Gianfranco Zola also hailed Rudiger, whose current deal at Stamford Bridge runs out in the summer. "He has an amazing energy and you need players like him because he always foes the right things. You need people like that in the dressing room and on the pitch," he added.
That is on Chelsea News today. If you like the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much.